Hello, this is Captain Aquarius, doing business as Dan First, coming to you with the latest of the videos in my series on the lunations of 2016. A lunation simply means one of the two major points in the moon's cycle when the moon is either in exact conjunction with the sun during the moon's window of invisibility every month, at the time, therefore, when this is called the black moon or the dark moon because the moon can't be seen, or the opposite point in her cycle when the moon is exactly opposite to the position of the sun in the zodiac. This is why, if you are in a place where you can see the horizon unimpeded on the ocean or some other place at sea level, in both directions, east and west, you can see how, exactly as the sun is setting, the moon is rising. Now, this moment means that those energies which were combined and imploded and pushed inward at the dark or black moon to make them concentrated and intentionally strong for purposes of release later are now at the point of coming out, bursting, exploding into some kind of expression. So therefore, the black moon or dark moon is a conjunction, while the full moon is an opposition. What the philosopher Plato had to say about this, revealingly, fascinatingly enough, is that when planets are in conjunction, all of society implodes. When planets are in opposition, all of society expands, innovates, and prospers. Now, whether everyone is going to prosper at the same time, whether everyone wants to innovate at the same time, this remains to be seen case by case. But we do know that energies which were concentrated before for purposes of intention and new energy building are now releasing and coming out. And so, as we look at this chart then, for this wonderful period of time, on April the 21st and 22nd. This is a chart, as you see here, which was actually cast for the full moon of April 21st and 22nd in Palmyra, Syria, because this city has been very much in the news, not only because of terrible events that have occurred with great monuments of ancient architecture there being destroyed by enemies of the planet's history and culture, but also because there was a plan to install replicas of the arch at Palmyra, the arch that was sacred to the ancient god Baal in both New York and London. And this has been interpreted as an attempt to impose and establish an Illuminati satanic agenda on the world as a whole. The internet has been bubbling with this. I've written an article about it on my Aquarian Airlines blog, which you can check out if you like. There's more about this there with the pictures and the mythological background and so on. We won't go into it here, but what we do know is that this full moon of April 21st and 22nd comes right after the day of April the 19th, which is important not only as a symbolic, ceremonial, ritual point of high significance in the ancient calendar, it is also the day of the extremely important New York primary election in the American presidential election cycle. So, naturally, much is going to come out. Much is going to be expressed and revealed, and it may be highly impactful on and after this particular full moon occurs. Now, to look at the chart itself, and we're not going to analyze the whole thing, but we are going to look at some of its key features. If you look at the upper left quadrant from the 10th to the 11th to the 12th house, you see that there's a large combination of planets here which are gradually now spreading out as the months proceed. Back in early March, at the black moon of March the 7th, All of these planets, plus the moon, were in the sign of Pisces, except for one of them, which is why this was an immensely important moment for the Piscean energy of dreaming, imagining, of empathy, of the dissolving of boundaries. Now, as the months proceed and the planets move ahead, we see that 3 of them in the 11th house are in the sign of Aries, and 2 others, the Sun at the bottom of the 11th house and Mercury in the 12th house, are now in the sign of Taurus. And as they move ahead, this alignment will become more and more dispersed. How can you tell that it's a chart for the full moon? Yes, that's right. The Sun position at 2 degrees of Taurus in the 11th house is exactly opposite to the Moon position in the sign of Scorpio in the 5th house of creativity, carrying the important theme that while the Sun is doing what Taurus can to maintain things in a solid, reliable, and consistent manner, the Moon, in a scorpionic manner, is doing what she can to bring things to the point of death and regeneration, so that things that can no longer stand are eased away and sometimes sent away in a somewhat more forceful manner. What we notice also here is that there are particularly important alignments of the planets that are highly significant to us now. One is that the planet Chiron, who looks like the letter K up in the 10th house, is in a conjunction with the upside down horseshoe of the South Moon's node, and he is therefore opposite. The South Moon's node up there in the 10th house represents the stretching, the splitting, the dissolving of relationships. And the planet Chiron, the healer, embodies not only the way that we act as a medicinal force in the lives of others, but the way that we are conscious of our own wounds, the way that we are conscious of the way that we heal the wounds of others, we inflict wounds upon them. And so therefore, this is a time when a lot of individual relationships are likely to break up. A lot of different kinds of teams and organizations are likely to dissolve under the stresses of either the ways that people have wounded themselves with the assumption that somehow they are not good, they are not lovable, or they have wounded others. So therefore, this is a time when we have the wonderful opportunity, under the chironic energy and theme of wounding, to find out how we have wounded ourselves and how we can redress that, how we have wounded others and how we might redress that. The wounds that we carry that are self-inflicted are the main theme here, and they relate very much to the whole subject of chironic wounding, either the main chironic wounds being either the missing love relationship, as we all want to love and be loved, and the consciousness of the undiscovered purpose and the underutilized gift, which is why so many people are haunted and driven and tormented by the search for their creative goal and channel, which they don't yet know, or if they do know it, they want to find the courage and resolve and determination to pursue it. The way in which we solve these chironic wounds begins with the discovery of our own worthiness and our own responsibility. These themes are what I believe the poet Rumi had in mind when he wrote his famous line that your task is not to seek for love, it is to find and remove the barriers you have built against it. And also, we see where our capacity is for attracting what we intend. This is largely connected with the energy of Venus, who is in combination here with Uranus, the revolutionary, the innovator, the bringer of change. And when this occurs, we are conscious of our own ability to act like Venus in getting what we want by having a clear and simple idea of what it is and having a sense that we richly deserve it. So that this is a time, therefore, of unblocking any way that we have of feeling unworthy and unlovable and discovering really how lovable, how brilliant and beautiful we really are.